Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good, man. Another week is in the books. And now we're going to continue down this path. We look at this injury report in the NFL right now, and everyone is injured. It is not good, man. Big names like J.J. Connor and others are going down. Devin off the A-chain, H-N. Everybody's going down with some ailment of injury. So we got to talk week number 6, waiver wire, must-add players. We got to fill these rosters, man. Fill this void. Not only do we have bye-week troubles, but we also now got injuries to deal with, especially at the running back spot. It is no good, no bueno. On the bye week this week, we got the Packers and the Steelers, so it's not crazy to deal with on the bye, but it is a lot of injuries that we're going to have to, try to go over and above, at least to continue down this path of fantasy football victories. Let's talk about these running backs. First one on my board, priority waiver wire pickup, is a Roschon Johnson, Chicago Bears. Yes, the Bears offense isn't necessarily high-end elite status, but we're looking for volume out of this running back room. Yes, Khalil Herbert is down with an injury, high ankle sprain, likely out 3 to 4 weeks. Roschon should be your guy, man. 39% ownership, almost 30 points. He should see a massive uptick in volume. This is why you're picking him up in this sense, because it is massive volume upside. Jaleel McLaughlin, Denver Broncos undrafted rookie free agent. They found something in this young man. He's undersized, but he's got, some wheels, he's got hands, and he's got playmaking ability to find his way into the end zone. 42 points in this offense. Yes, he is 53% owned right now, so likely is gone in most leagues that are active and, competitive. But, if he is sitting in your waiver wire, McLaughlin definitely needs to be on your roster at this point because it could be a fire sale coming in Denver right now. Looking to trade everybody and looking to see what they have on this roster. James Conner goes down with an injury as well, likely going to be out for a few weeks. So Demercado is the next guy up on the board, along with Ingram, I believe, is the next back behind him. We will see. Demercado did fill in quite admirably in Conner's absence, but we'll see how the touches get split as the weeks continue to move forward. But he looked decent, looked good. 1% ownership, 17.8 points. So, there is possibility that point productivity could follow this man and come his way as well. Kendre Miller, he does pop finally on the list, 16.2 points, spelling out a Alvin Kamara this past week. Yes, we understand that Jamal Williams will be coming back from his injury. I believe one more week on the IR and he will be back. So if you are in desperate need of a running back, Kendre Miller may be able to be trusted somewhat, not to high-end levels of point production, but at least somewhat to fill a roster spot until Williams does come back. Justice Hill, man, 33.5 points. Found his way into the end zone. Every single wide receiver in this Baltimore Ravens room was dropping balls last week, and Hill looked good running the football. Gus Edwards, not so much. He's, kind of struggling to find his gaps and his lanes and find some speed, where Hill is finding his way into the end zone. Possibly he is one of the better running backs in this room at this point, we got to say, but Keaton Mitchell is coming back as well. We'll see how his role does shape and form against a Justice Hill, but he is definitely on the list right now. Jeff Wilson, Miami Dolphins, with the news of Devin off the A-chain going down. A-chan. Wilson is also, the window has opened up for his IR return. 21-day window has been open for a Jeff Wilson, and hearing the fact that they could put A-chan on the injured reserve for the next 4 weeks, potentially with that knee injury, Wilson would get back into the mix with a Raheem Mostert, so we got to get Wilson on the roster at this point. Hasn't played a snap this season, 28% ownership. Wilson has to be a priority at this point. Zach Charbonnet. I'm telling you, man, handcuff time is massive right now. Week 7, Week 8, Week 9. We got to see, man, handcuffs. These guys are going to be starting to go down with injuries, and the handcuff running backs will be a massive issue here. We got to get them on our roster. You got to find bench spots for them, and Charbonnet is one of these guys you need to have. If Kenny goes down with an injury, Charbonnet will be an instant running back one for you. 44% ownership rate right now, man. Tajay Spears. Okay, he's starting to make some plays. The Tennessee Titans are starting to utilize this man a little bit more, creating a thunder and lightning approach in this backfield. While it still is King Henry's backfield, we're going to start seeing the touches start to move to a Tajay Spears. I've been saying it all off season. We don't know what these Titans are. The Titans don't even know what they want to be, man. And it's going to be very much one last kick at the can. We could see next year a very different Tennessee Titans squad. So they're going to want to see what they got in a Tajay Spears to maybe let go of a Derrick Henry. That is the potential, but he is definitely a priority handcuff as well. Deontay Foreman would be the backup to a Roschon Johnson at this point. Well, will the touches come with volume? That's a tough one to suggest that it will, but we got to look for values wherever we can find them, and when it comes to volume, someone's got to spell out a Roshan, and it could definitely be a Deontay Foreman. Rico Dwaddle, okay, 23 points, 5.6 on the ownership rate. Dallas Cowboys struggled immensely versus the 49ers, but Dwaddle, his role looks to be increasing as the weeks continue to move on to supplant some of Tony Pollard's workload, and he could potentially be a decent, trustworthy handcuff for these Dallas Cowboys. Salvon Ahmed is the other Miami Dolphin running back we got to keep tabs on, just in case a Jeff Wilson doesn't pan out. But yes, I understand Chris Brooks apparently has jumped a Salvon Ahmed in this depth chart, but once Salvon gets on the field, I've always been a supporter. He is a very talented running back. Quarterbacks, we got quarterback streamers. I mean, it's tough to find these guys at this point to give you the top-notch points, but Matthew Stafford is back on my board. Okay, he only got, 16, 17 points this past week, but I loved what I saw versus these Philadelphia Eagles. They got an offense. Kudos to you, Sean McVay, revamping this entire offense. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and Tutu Atwell. This is going to be good news for a Matthew Stafford because they can nickel and dime defenses all the way down the field. 45% ownership, almost 80 points. He's got a good matchup versus these Arizona Cardinals this week. Matthew Stafford is absolutely fantasy viable this week for me. Baker Mayfield coming off the bye week, 16% ownership rate. He's almost got 70 points himself with a big challenge going up against these Detroit Lions. High-flying Detroit Lions. Never thought we'd say that again, right? But, I mean, Detroit looks very, very good. And if, excuse me, if you're going to have to keep up with these Detroit Lions, you're going to have to throw the football and put a lot of points on the board. Status of a Mike Evans is still in question based, I believe, on the hammy. We have to wait and see that this week to see how he is recovering. But Baker Mayfield with Chris Godwin and company will do some damage through the air as long as Baker does not throw interceptions. He is definitely on the fantasy radar. Sam Howell, yes, they did not look good these past 2 weeks. However, Sam Howell is putting up massive point productivity, almost 90 points right now in fantasy play, 25.7% ownership rate for a Sam Howell. He can be trusted. I told y'all, man, this is my guy, okay? They're figuring things out, and they're doing things, at least attempting to do things the right way. I should say it that way. But Sam Howell's absolutely going to give you at least a decent floor at this point. We want to see the full-end upside, utilizing guys like Jahan Dotson a little bit more. Have not seen it yet, really to the top-end levels that we expected into Week 6 already. It does not look good for the overall fantasy outlook for Jahan Dotson, but Sam Howell's able to at least move this ball around the field and give you good fantasy point productivity at this point. Josh Dobbs, he did not look good this past week, took a sidestep after, having several very good weeks of play. He's still on the radar. They're going to figure this thing out. Yes, injuries are going to come, especially to this backfield with James Conner. They got to have a run game with Dobbs to make him successful. He is still on the radar for me. Desmond Ridder, man. Okay, a new stat buddy told me. I didn't realize Desmond Ridder has never lost a home game throughout his collegiate and NFL career so far. Unbelievable stuff. So if they're playing at home, I think you can start betting on a Desmond Ridder, man. 71 points. He's got legs. He's going to take off. He's got supportive pieces like a John Robinson. Finally, they're starting to find, the likes of Kyle Pitts and Drake London. So this is good news, man. As they continue to morph this offense, Desmond Ridder is starting to pick up steam. Not fully trustworthy just yet, but he is now on my radar. Gardner Minshew, he finds his way on the list. It's Minshew mania, man. Okay, with A-Rich going down with that shoulder injury. Dude, you got to learn how to protect yourself. Taking unnecessary shots like he did. He is now out likely for at least quite a bit of time. It's AC joint is what I'm hearing right now for Anthony Richardson. Minshew will be taken over. So if you are desperate and struggling for something, Minshew could at least give you a decent floor at this point for fantasy points. Jimmy Garoppolo's got a good matchup. Revenge game versus the New England Patriots. He is definitely on the radar this week. Even though he didn't look great on Monday Night Football coming off the concussion, there is a possibility on the revenge game because they are real and they want to take it to their old clubs. Jimmy G is now back on the board this week. Wide receiver time. Like I said, big news, injury news. Justin Jefferson is down with an injury, which means KJ Osborne is got to be your top wide receiver priority pickup this week. Target share will go to a Jordan Addison and now a KJ Osborne sprinkled in with a TJ Hawkinson. Wilson. They're going to have to figure this thing out, man. A hamstring injury putting JJ on the IR is not good. No bueno. 4 weeks without Justin Jefferson likely will cement, a terrible season for these Minnesota Vikings in record-wise. But KJ Osborne already has seen a lot of target share come his way, and this should only impact this that much more. 15% ownership, 35 points. Osborne will give you low-end wide receiver 2 numbers. No kidding about that. Josh Reynolds, Detroit Lions. We can start trusting a lot of these players. Reynolds looks like a Pro Bowl talent with Jared Goff in this offense again. 32.3% ownership right now, 55 points. He is making plays. Good flex option at this point. You can absolutely trust a Josh Reynolds even when Amon-Ra St. Brown does come back with a Jameson Williams. J-Mo. Josh Palmer, Los Angeles Chargers coming off the bye week. He's got 46% ownership rate. He's still my guy over a Quentin Johnston, even though I got Q on my list down here on the board as well. I got Josh Palmer still above a Q Johnson at this point until further notice. We will keep it this way. We have to understand vets usually get the target share increase before we see the rookies start to come in, unless you're an absolute dynamo. Q is a body catcher, and he's got to prove that he can make catches on the consistent level for him to jump a Josh Palmer at this point. We know that Herbert, quarterback Herbert, his first name fades me all of a sudden, but I mean Justin Herbert, he loves himself some Justin Palmer. They have the chemistry from the past, and that will continue to force feed. Palmer is definitely needing to be owned as he is almost at that 50% threshold. Josh Downs, we're down for some downs. I told you all a couple weeks back, even going to the offseason, do not sleep on my guy Josh Downs. He could be legit one of the better slot weapons in this league. He is that damn talented. I told y'all guys on the video a couple weeks back, I might be a little early on him, being fantasy viable, but it has come. The time has come. Josh Downs, we are definitely down. He's got to be on your roster. I picked him up 2 weeks ago and stashed him just in case on my rosters because it's coming. And with a Gardner Minshew, it actually might impact this that much more, where he's going to see a lot of target share over the middle. Jameson Williams, J-Mo. Big pickup last week, and he did not really, impress. He just not on the same page. He's got to understand this NFL game. Still feel like he hasn't gotten there yet. Still got to be picked up because the talent is just too good to pass up at this point. Once he does figure it out and he does show those wheels and showcase that talent on the field, he could be an absolute stud on the field. Q Johnson, like I said, he is on this list. Definitely a stash on your bench as a wait and see, but I don't know if I'm going to pick him up just yet. I'll leave that one up to you guys, man. Wilson from these Arizona Cardinals. I'm stumbling today, man. I need some more coffee, but I'm telling y'all, man, Wilson, he disappointed us. It was a massive waiver wire pickup for us this past week, and he definitely disappointed. Lack of target share. The Cincinnati Bengals had a very good game plan versus these Arizona Cardinals. Wilson still needs to be picked up, in my opinion, as his role will continue to move forward, especially without a James Conner on the field. They may have to pass the ball just a little bit more. I'm still in on the Wilson camp right now. Rounding out these wide receivers with a Curtis Samuel. Flex option is potential here. But I want to see John Dotson, so I'm very reluctant to promote a Curtis Samuel at this point, but he has done more than enough at this point. 50 points on the board. He can be trusted in matchup play and flex appeal. No kidding about that. When it comes to these Kansas City Chiefs, Rashee Rice, 30% ownership, scored a touchdown this past week. 37 points. Who is going to be the guy to be the wide receiver that Patrick Mahomes trusts more than ever? And they're still trying to figure that out. While Rashee Rice looks like to be having, a little bit of a neck up on a lot of these wide receiver talents, including Justin Ross. At least we saw Justin Ross get on the field. That's one of my guys as well. I'm promoting Ross till the end, but Rashee Rice maybe is starting to turn the corner. Sky Moore, we can't trust. Rashee Rice, we can't trust. MVS, we can't trust. It's just a crapshoot right now as Patrick Mahomes is spreading the ball around, but at least Rice is now at least on my watch list to see if he's going to continue to move forward. Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, he's not dead just yet, even though target share is moving to a Nico Collins and a Tank Dell. Tank was dealing with a concussion. Robert Woods did get some plays, 32 points. He will be at least still somewhat viable in certain situations, but you got to see guys go down and miss time for Bobby Trees to get that top end level. And if you're really struggling at the wide receiver spot, he's going to give you the 6 to 9 points as the floor potentially each and every week still. But he is becoming harder to trust as, Nico Collins and Tank Dell start to get more target share. Elijah Moore for these Cleveland Browns. has not done a whole heck of a lot, just under the 50% ownership rate right now, 21 points. You got to believe coming off the bye week, these Cleveland Brownies got to be starting to get him the ball a little bit more. Get him the ball in space, see what he can do, and then you use Amari Cooper on the other side to keep these defenses honest, man. Right now, Moore is on the watch list for me, even though he is 50% owned. We just can't trust it to start at this point. We got to see a lot more before we're going to sit here and say, yeah, he's an absolute must start each and every week, but it is on my radar to at least, creep up for start sit in the near future. Justin Ross is my deep flyer right now that we're looking for. At least he saw some targets this past week, 2 of 4 targets. He did haul in. They're trying to find the guy in Kansas City. We'll see if Justin Ross does make waves. Right now, he can still be left on the waiver wire. Just put a watch list on that, man. Finishing off with tight ends. Man, tight ends are such a hard, difficult situation to trust right now. At least we saw like 15 boom games from tight ends this past week. Dalton Schultz is one of those guys. 44% ownership. What did I say? We could trust him just a little bit last week. Now we can trust it 2 weeks in a row. The consistency is coming to his direction. That much more. Matchup play will be very big for a Dalton Schultz. 35 points on 44% ownership right now for Schultz. CJ Stroud is moving this offense, and we can absolutely trust many pieces in this Texans offense. It is very good for Dalton Schultz. He must be picked up and put on your roster, as is Logan Thomas. I keep saying John Dotson, but Sam Howell's going to everybody but John Dotson, including a Logan Thomas. 37.5 points, 11% ownership rate. I don't know what y'all waiting for, man. If he's healthy, he's getting targets because he is the Sam Howell safety blanket where Howell is getting sacked like 10 times a game. He's got to have the quick out, and Logan Thomas has been that trusted commodity for him at this point. We can absolutely trust a Logan Thomas in PPR upside, man. Cade Otton coming off the bye. Depending on if a Mike Evans does miss time with this hamstring injury, Cade Otton would start to see his levels increase. If Mike Evans is back this week, then fade Cade Otton just a little bit more once again. But this is one of these things we got to watch. Health of Mike Evans equals better opportunity for Cade Otton. So definitely watch out for that one, man. Gerald Everett and these Los Angeles Chargers coming off the bye week. Yes, like we said, no more Mike Williams, so they're going to try to sprinkle in targets every which way they got him. We could see more targets coming to Everett at this point. Has been disappointment so far this season, but he is still on my radar to say potential target upside volume is here. We just got to see it on the field to understand it, but Everett is definitely on the radar. Jonnu Smith has found new life with these Atlanta Falcons. And then this past week, okay, we saw them utilize Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith to some level. So, I mean, there is worse options out there. Like I said, tight end is such a crapshoot. If you do not have one and you're searching and trying to stream tight ends this year, this is not the year to do it. But Jonnu Smith is definitely on the radar to at least stream in matchup play. Noah Gray. Okay, so here's the thing. This is such a high risk, high reward. He's got 24 points at the tight end spot, which is not bad whatsoever. But, I mean, okay, it's going to be very much hit and miss. I'm only putting him down here because point productivity is here, and Patrick Mahomes does find him to decent levels to give you at least, the 6 to 9 points. But he's just on that watch list right now. If Travis Kelce goes down, Noah Gray would be a massive uptick in the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Tyler Conklin, Noah Fant, finish off my list as notable potential additions. We know Zach Wilson will find Conklin. I mean, he's starting to figure things out a little bit more in this offense, moving the ball. Yes, he's still making mistakes, but Zach Wilson at least is seemingly turning the corner. Hopefully that continues for this Jets offense. Conklin would be a very good piece for that if they continue to move forward. Noah Fant, only because he hit off on this past week, but the way that the Seattle Seahawks are playing, they're going to feed their wide receivers and running backs before we can consistently trust a Noah Fant. Just on the notables right now, we just got to watch and see. But there you have it. That is week number 6, waiver wire must-add players. It is very difficult. Bye weeks, injuries, like I'm saying, it's going to be a long ride, man. It's a marathon, not a sprint in fantasy football, so we got to get those players on our bench, at least as a stash, if not to replace a lot of this talent. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.